We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jaren Hall Show, also known as Vikings Uncensored, episode 131. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's a new era in Vikings football, whether we wanted it or not. Of course, unless you've been under a rock for the last week, we all know that Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles tendon in the game Sunday against the Packers and had successful surgery Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, whatever it was. Wednesday morning. Guy was out on one of them little freaking rolly carts at TCO Performance Stadium or the training center on Tuesday, signing autographs and stuff for kids on Halloween and stuff. They're doing trick-or-treating and all that other stuff there. So you got to give the guy kudos. I mean, he just ripped his freaking leg off and is going to miss his time in the NFL for the first time in his career, and he's still out there, doing stuff.
Showing great character, doing good things. Yeah, I mean, I respect that.
Yeah, and by all accounts, surgery was a success. So now the healing and the rehab begins. Good evening, Doc. Good evening, Dave. Good evening, David, Eric, Drew, all you guys. Thank you for joining a live episode of Vikings Uncensored. A lot of stuff going on this week. Of course, we had the trade deadline on Tuesday as well at 3 p.m.
Anything happened?
Not much, really. Just a couple, minimal minor things. The Washington Commanders decided to go in full sell-off mode. Hey, Ant, good evening. Trading not only Montez Sweat, but Chase Young, so both of their pass rushers out the door. Ryan Poles continues. Every move he makes the almighty football gods or whatever deity that you pray to, that we did not hire that clueless moron as our general manager.
He wants exclusive rights to Montez's extension signing.
Yeah, so they don't even have an extension done, but they traded a second round pick, which is going to be a pick in the top 5 in the second round, to the Commanders for Montez Sweat, and like you said, the right to exclusively negotiate with him prior to the 2024 season.
I'm really glad that, because I had, honestly, and proves I'm not always right, but I had Ryan Poles at the top of my short list of GMs that I wanted, honestly. So
yeah, and
I'm glad that we dodged that bullet.
Oh yeah, and the Bears were all smugging in our faces that they stole him from us and that and everything else. Well, that just shows what happens when you steal something. Stealing is wrong, and you pay the penalty for it.
I'm glad, I'm glad we are where we are right now. So it says enough.
Yeah, but to make things to rub even more salt in that wound, shortly after the Commanders made that deal with the Bears and fleeced them, they basically gave Chase Young away to the San Francisco 49ers, trading a third-round pick for Young. And it's not even a normal third-round pick. It's a comp pick.
I know. I know. Talk about if I was the Bear, if I was Ryan Paul right now, I'd be feeling pretty silly.
San Francisco got an absolute steal on that. And even if they can't re-sign Chase Young at the end of the year, they're making a Super Bowl push. So it makes sense. Chicago is a raging dumpster fire trying to plummet their way to the bottom. And they go out and make a deal like this. It makes absolutely no sense. Montez Sweat is a year older than Chase Young. And, I mean, they're both very good pass rushers, don't get me wrong, but it just...
Yeah, I've seen that too, Dave.
Yeah, I've heard that one there too, Dave, talking about Harbaugh being their next coach. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because the way Ryan Poles is going, I am not fully convinced that he makes it past this year as well because he has just been an absolute clueless. Right there from the our resident Michigan expert, Mr. Drew Bunting, Harbaugh is not leaving Michigan. I guess the only thing that I would say maybe that would cause him to leave is if this whole, sign stealing thing with his secret agent undercover guy that's been standing on the sidelines of random teams wearing their garb and somehow or another taking pictures and all that other stuff gets to be too much for him. He might just book out on that. But yeah, if I was him, I don't think I would want to go to that dumpster fire, especially if Poles is still the general manager. But also speaking of what's that? I got one more thing to throw even more on this.
Okay.
Their running back coach, Dave Walker, was fired on Tuesday due to an HR matter.
What the fuck is going on over there in Chicago? All year it's been like mysterious crap going on. First it was the D coordinator. Now fucking coach.
Yeah, their defensive coordinator had his house raided by the FBI, and depending upon who you listen to and who you believe, Hall was also raided by the FBI. He's gone. And now you got this and you got all this other crap. And yeah, I am glad this is not Bears Uncensored. This is Vikings Uncensored. Beyond that, another shit show. The Las Vegas Raiders fired general manager Dave Ziegler, head coach Josh McDaniels, and also their offensive coordinator on Tuesday night as well. There again, Josh McDaniels should have never gotten that job to begin with. He's just he was god awful as a head coach in Denver, and I'm fully starting to believe that the only reason he got the hype that he did with New England was the fact that he had Tom Brady as his quarterback.
Do you think he goes tucking his tail back between his legs back to Daddy Belichick?
Oh, I'm sure he does if provided Belichick is there next year. Belichick may retire at the end of the year the way things are going there too, but maybe they did something right here. They put linebackers coach Antonio Pierce as the interim head coach, and the way it sounds, he's got the ear of the locker room. He's he was a very good player, but the way it sounds, they might have something with him. I mean, granted, it's too early to tell, but he's got that fiery attitude and the kind of a Brian Flores type rah-rah, or not necessarily the rah-rah, but a bunch of that. Hey, Justin, good evening. Skull for Life, good evening. Chuck, good evening. Brother David, good evening. Thank you guys all for joining in. We're just finishing up the non-Vikings related. So let's move into the Vikings related news. Of course, the A topic after the Kirk Cousins injury, there was a whole lot of back and forth. Good evening, Stephen, about going back and forth and everything else. What would we trade for a quarterback? Would we sign somebody, whatever? Well, Tuesday afternoon, not too long before the trade deadline, Vikings made a trade with the Arizona Cardinals for quarterback Josh Dobbs. We ended up giving Arizona a 6th-round pick for Dobbs and a conditional 7th-round pick.
Right.
Whereas if Dobbs does not meet the certain escalators of that, it could revert back to a 6th-round pick, so we could basically get a better 6th-round pick than what we had.
I'm excited. I mean, outside of the circumstances and how this happened, I'm excited to see what this offense looks like with a different style of quarterback at the helm. I don't know if I'm jumping in too quick here, but I'm excited for the opportunity that Hall has here going up against the Falcons this coming week. Mm-hmm. And I'm ready to ball with Hall, man.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of course, Viking social media and Twitter and the X-Files and all this other stuff. Everybody's up there losing their minds, wringing their hands. Why did we trade for him? You know, I'm going to give you the reason why we traded to get Josh Dobbs. Because if we did not, our backup quarterback this week is Sean Mannion.
You know, if Zim was here, Mannion would be starting this week, right?
Oh, absolutely he would be. You know it, I know it, and the rest of the NFL knows it.
You know, not necessarily that it would be Josh Dobbs, but if we would have went out and got somebody, I like the pickup, by the way. I didn't mention that, but I like the pickup. If we would have went out and got anybody else, we probably would have got our asses fleeced, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely.
We would have ended up fucking giving up some sort of 2nd round, 4th round pick for Jameis fucking Winston or something along those lines. And I'm not down with that.
Because I know there was.
I think the plan here is to see what Hall got this Sunday and just move forward. I'm not saying that Dobbs is going to be penciled in as a starter, you know, anytime. I think this is now Jaren Hall's job to lose. And I think with the soft part of the schedule coming up, you know, any given Sunday, I understand that sentiment. But this is an ideal situation for almost any quarterback coming in and trying to succeed, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, with the amount of weapons and stuff that's around here, it's going to, for as far as a rookie coming in, like you said, you couldn't probably ask for a better situation. The only better situation you could have had was having Justin Jefferson available this week, which he'll be available to come off injured reserve after this game.
I don't think it's time to throw in the white towel by any means. I think that it could be we could rally around this rookie and win some games, I believe.
Oh, I fully agree.
And I honestly, 5th round pick, but you just looking at the kid, you could see the qualities that this guy brings to the table. It seems to be a good leader. By all counts, the player said he has command of the huddle. And he throws a nice ball. So
yeah, that throw he made to Hawkinson for that first down, that was a pretty good right on the money throw when he needed it there. So
I think there's going to be some pleasantly surprised fans here after this Sunday. I'm just going to leave it at that for now until we hop back into it later when we get to the talking about the game.
Yep. Jay,
you're absolutely right. James,
for sure. Absolutely. Argument here. Couple other little just pickup items. Guard Chris Reed returned to practice week, which makes the other trade that the Vikings made make a whole lot more sense when they traded guard Ezra Cleveland to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 6th-round pick, although it was not Jacksonville's 6th-round pick, it's Carolina's 6th-round pick. So basically, once again, going to a top 5 of the 6th rounds, which almost equates to a late 5th round pick.
I mean, ideally I would have liked something a little bit higher, but we still got compensation and somewhat decent compensation for him. So ideally, yes, I would have liked a higher pick, but
we got something for a guy who was not going to re-sign here anyway, because he wants the opportunity to play tackle, and he's not getting that here. Will he get it anyplace else? I don't know, but
with that being said, with Cleveland, I mean, I love what I'm seeing with Reisner. It seems like he's looking out to get work. He's looking for blocks after his initial block. And he stays busy. And it seems to be helping Bradbury as well.
Yeah. Then one other small move on Thursday, I believe it was, the Vikings re-signed cornerback Jawan Williams to the practice squad. He had been on the practice squad, and then Chicago had sniped him a few weeks back, but they had put him back down. So the Vikings re-signed him, and to make room, they released cornerback C.J. Colden Jr. So we got one of the guys who we had originally thought may play at least a not insignificant role this year back on the team. Whether he plays any or not, I don't know. So, yeah. He had all right. I mean, but honestly, what I saw, especially later on in the Packers game with Blackman and Booth, and Evans struggled early, but he had a very important pass breakup late in the game, and
I honestly think Evans only had the one bad series, and then after that, he was lights out.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I like what Evans has done this year. I think he's developing nicely, and I think he's not a shutdown. He's not a shutdown corner by any means, but he's a solid cornerback, and that's he's doing what we need him to do for the most part. Steven, is Davenport back this week? No, he is not. He's did he go on the same week that Jefferson did, or was it?
I believe so. Yeah. He's actually on the Davenport as we speak.
Yeah, so I think he may be available to come back to at least start practicing again next week. Could be wrong on that one. I know Jefferson is available to come back, and also Nick Mullins is eligible to come off. Now, whether he comes off or not, I don't know. Was this Josh Dobbs thing a kind of a corresponding move to maybe Mullins' back is not healing the way they hoped it would?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the first thing that crossed my mind when it came in. Vikings secondary is beginning to fill as it absolutely, Drew.
I mean, speaking about the edge, I mean, with Davenport, I mean, we can't say enough about Wanham this year. Wanham has rose up to the occasion and has also been getting to that quarterback as well.
Absolutely has. And, of course, Danielle Hunter, his stats speak for themselves. He's leading the league in sacks and tackles for loss. He had everybody that's like
on defense yet this year. I don't think we've hit our ceiling on defense this year. And I think that we're going to get better, and that should be scary to the rest of the league.
Yeah, I agree.
That pass rush is very scary.
Yeah, you had that.
And the way Flores is getting creative in his defensive play calling is fantastic. You don't know when he's bringing the blitz now. You don't know when he's dropping guys back into coverage. I love what I see on that side of the ball.
Well, against Green Bay last week, we only blitzed, I think, 35% of the time, which is about 15 to 20% less than what we normally do.
It's all this, man. I mean, we come out swinging, and then we start mixing it up, and teams just don't know what the fuck we're going to do.
Well, it was that whole, when Flores got hired as the defensive coordinator, and they asked him, "What, are you going to run a 3-4 or 4-3?" And his answer was, depends on what week or who we're playing that week. And for three-fourths
of the game, Flores frustrated the fuck out of Jordan Love last weekend.
They had like 19 yards.
Yes.
And 0 first downs until 4 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Yeah, it was. I mean, if you don't believe, you better start believing in this defense because it is starting to become the one. Yeah, this defense is becoming the backbone of this team, and I love it because the defense can look at Jaren Hall and legitimately say, "We got you, brother. You just go out there and you take care of business, and we got you."
And that's the thing. Everybody's going to have to do that. Pull up your pants and get to work and play just a little bit harder to try to make up for the loss of Kirk Cousins.
Bynum, another name, as Jared says.
Yep.
Another
Cam
name
Bynum is
stepped it up this year.
Cam Bynum is turning into a very solid safety in this league. As is Josh Metellus
not given
as well.
Up a touchdown yet in coverage.
Nope. So, that's why we run three safeties a lot of the times, because we've got three guys right now that are playing very, very well.
And he brings that energy. Bynum is the guy that brings that energy to that defense. He really does. And then Metellus is having a great year as well. That three safety set is doing some good things.
Yeah. And then we have the fourth safety that can't get on the field. So
it says a lot about the safety room, and more about. I don't know if it says more about Seam than what it does about everybody else, but we'll see.
Yeah. Drew sucks at Flores will be leaving next year to be head coach. I'm not sure that he would do.
I don't think that's
because a lot of people forgot about this, but he's still got that lawsuit going with the NFL.
Yes. That
may be something that some guys don't, or some owners don't want to have to deal with.
See, now
I hope he doesn't go in.
Right. That's exactly where I'm at. I'm hoping he doesn't. I don't think that it's set in stone that he does. I wouldn't be surprised if he stayed, though, either, in my opinion.
Yeah. I know he would like to be a head coach again, but, showing what he did with Arizona, turning down another opportunity to interview for the head coach job, here be the defensive coordinator, means he's not just going to take a job because somebody offers him one. If he's going to be a head coach, it's going to have to be the right situation for him.
Take the right job, right? He's earned the right to be selfish, honestly.
Yeah. And I hope he is selfish, and I hope nobody that's a good fit offers him a job because, Matt, good evening. Josh, good evening.
Just don't go out and take the Bears job or something like that. That would piss me the fuck off.
I don't think he'd go over there. The fifth safety, yeah, correct. Toss up between Bynum and Hunter for team defensive MVP. You could also throw Jordan Hicks in that mix. He has played way better than I expected him to this year.
That whole defense gets a little piece of the pie, in my opinion. Even Metellus, dude.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think he's playing at safety. He's more of like a rover down out there in the back, on the back end. He's down playing linebacker, and he's just an extra guy on the field. Yeah.
Bynum was a cornerback in college, so he's got that, and that's why we're running a lot of three safety stuff. Is because you can put him in that slot role or the rover and have him do throw money at.
Taking that linebacker off the field also adds a little bit more speed to your defense too. Then,
yeah. Although the linebacker that's coming off is Ivan Pace, and he's got a good amount of speed too, but. Team defense, hitman 2, absolutely. Maybe the Raiders. I don't think he's going to the Raiders. That place is such a. I wouldn't want to work for Mark Davis. I don't care if that was the only option I had.
I wouldn't want to work for a guy that has a haircut like that either.
Yeah, he's Fat Lloyd Christmas, basically. It just. But Mark Davis is more incompetent than his old man was. His old man was just got crazy at the end. But Mark is clueless and not exactly.
Well, it's proven that he can't get a team that can win some games.
But the thing of it is, and then when they have a coach, after they fired John Gruden for that whole situation, they had Rich Bisaccia, who came in there and got that team to play, and they were winning games.
Yep,
They
they
went to the playoffs, and then they turn around and fire him so they can bring in Josh McDaniels.
They should have stuck with Bisaccia for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. This isn't Raiders Uncensored. But, let's move on to the preview of this weekend's game as the Vikings travel down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Came out earlier. Our old buddy Taylor Heineke is going to get the start. This one, Ritter. Of course, we did play against Heineke last year with the Commanders, and had started out good, and then he kind of lost the whole wheels, starting to turn the ball over and doing weird, poor decision throws and things like that. So hopefully we can, if we did that, probably we can do a lot more of that with Flores' defense this year. So big injury news on Atlanta. They lost Grady Jarrett, which is a big blow for their defense. Looking at the injury report, the Vikings have one player out this weekend, which is Dean Lowry.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do without his game, but then we had three that were questionable. Brian Asamoah, Jalen Naylor, and Josh Reed. So, or Chris Reed, sorry, Josh Reed. Where the hell did I get Josh Reed? Naylor and Reed are on that 21-day clock to come, from their Naylor was on IR and Reed was on the PUP list. If I was to guess, I would say they both practiced in full this week. I wouldn't be surprised to see Naylor play this week. Reed might be active as a backup in case something happens to one of the two guys we've got out there. Rolling over to speaking of which Anthony just brought up here on the Atlanta side of things, wide receiver Jake London is out. Got some throwback camera work going on lately. Yeah, I'm in a different location now. I don't have my nice setup studio, so I have to go old school here for the time being, just from residential circumstances. We'll put it that way. Beyond that, though, safety DeMarco Helms and fullback Keith Smith also out. So that leaves them with their wide receiver group with London going down, leaves them with Mac Hollins, Van Jefferson, and probably Cordero Patterson as their three main weapons at throwing the ball. Other than, of course, Thigpen, Kyle Pitts at tight end, who is such a physical freak that he's irrelevant half the time. Then they also have, of course, first-round pick Bijan Robinson, who
he's probably the scariest guy in offense right now.
He is, but I've only watched a couple of Atlanta games this year, but it doesn't seem like they use him as much as they should, or in the way that they should.
Should be riding him like a fucking 85 Mustang.
Okay. Yeah. Then of course over on the defensive side, they've got Bud Dupree over there, the rotting corpse of Calais Campbell, and then Jeff Okuda is their main cornerback in the backfield. I mean, we've seen him quite a bit when he was with Detroit. AJ Terrell is their other cornerback. Not exactly world beaters, but I think this is a very good game. for Jaren Hall to get his first start in.
I agree.
Because
absolutely.
They're 4-4 just like we are, but their defense, is decent, but they're they're a very similar team to where we are right now. So, but with that, we'll kind of roll into look at some of the numbers on this game, doing our tail of the tape that we do for every game here. Starting off on the offensive side of things like normal. Scoring offense, Minnesota is 11th. Atlanta is 23rd. Just looked up Hank Baskett's wife. That for those of you who don't know, that was on one of our groups we have on Facebook. There was a little running joke going on that one, so we that's where that comes up from. Total yards, Vikings are 8th. Falcons are 13th in total yards, so they've been putting a few yards up, but they're just not scoring points. Yards per play, Minnesota's up to 6th right now. Atlanta's at 17th. Passing yards, Vikings are still in 2nd behind the Dolphins. Atlanta's at 14th. Then, of course, in the rush goes the other way. Atlanta's 10th. Vikings are 28th. And turnovers, Vikings are 4th worst, and Atlanta is 5th worst. So they're right about in that same ballpark we are as far as turnovers get allowed. The defensive side of things, though, it's a lot closer in some of these. Scoring defenses, Atlanta's 17th. The Vikings are 18th. Total yards, Atlanta's 10th. We're 18th again. Yards per play, we are 6th. Atlanta is 17th. So they do give up the big play, which could bode well for Mr. Addison. And, I think Hawkinson going across the middle is going to be Jaren Hall's best friend here, especially in this game, I think. Against the rush, we are 15th. Atlanta is 16th. Now, Green Bay was one of the worst against the rush going into last week, and we couldn't run the ball to save our lives. So hopefully we can get some of that going, because I think that's going to be key to keeping that blitz off of Jaren Hall too. Turnovers, Minnesota is tied for 16th in the league in causing turnovers. Atlanta is tied for 27th, so they don't cause a lot of turnovers either. Blitz percentage, this is my favorite one always of the week. Vikings are currently 1st in the league by a long shot at blitzing at 52.7% of dropbacks. Atlanta is 19th. They're about half of that at 24.2. Vikings are up to 9th in the league in sacks now. They got 23 on the season. Atlanta's sitting 28th with 15. Pressure percentage, so this is a little bit different. Atlanta is 3rd in the league in pressure percentage at 28.8% of dropbacks, and Minnesota is 17th at 22.5.
I look for Atlanta to bring more blitzes this weekend against.
I do too. I think they're gonna see if they can rattle Hall, and but to his credit, and everything we've seen him, and the way he handled the media really well this week. He's got that poise. He didn't look too much deer in the headlights against Green Bay. Like a lot of the other players said, that he had good command of the huddle when he was in there, and I think he's got he's got a good opportunity here to see what we can do, and at the very least, we're going to see what we have in the next couple of weeks anyway.
And that's just it too with Robert here saying with the RPOs, you're going to see a lot more of that with Hall or with Dobbs down the road. But I think this is Hall's job to lose, honestly, to say the least. I think Dobbs brought in supporting role.
Yeah. And the thing I started looking at this after we brought him in. Josh Dobbs has a very similar skill set to what Jaren Hall does as far as the mobility, the dual threat type stuff. Whereas Mullins fits more that Kirk Cousins mold. So I think that played a part in this too, bringing in a guy. So they're already going to have to change the offense to kind of play more to what Jaren Hall is comfortable doing out there compared to what Kirk did. So
there's going to be some wrinkles in the offense for sure.
Yep. So having a backup that kind of plays that same style and skill set that your starter does is beneficial, because if he goes down in the middle of the game, then you don't need to completely change the
game plan
way you call plays again either. So
right. And then I also like the fact that Hall's been, the scout team offense quarterback all season this year. He's been playing against Flores as number 1 defense. So I mean, he's been seeing this defense, Flores' defense anyways, all year, and he's been competing against those guys. So that should lead to some sort of success as well, I believe, when he finally gets some stats.
And helping him learn how to pick the blitzes up and stuff like that too. I think that going against somebody as blitz happy as Flores is, that can only be a benefit to him as well. So,
and the composure that Hall has, to me, off the field, calm, cool, collected. By all accounts, he's a film junkie, always watching film, prepares well, has taken advice from Kirk and the other veterans that are around him very well. I look for good things. And the funny thing is that honestly, I went through all the picks, and there are very few people or media heads that are picking us to win this weekend. And
I think as of this afternoon, I think we were like 4.5 point dogs, 4.5 to 5 points, somewhere in there, which is understandable. I mean, nobody knows what Jaren Hall is going to do when he gets out there. I mean, we don't even know for sure what Jaren Hall is going to do when he gets out there. We have an idea and a hope. But
I think he's going to do just fine. I think he'll be just fine.
I hope so, because I mean, it's of course the life of a Vikings fan. We were complete ass for the first 4 weeks, sitting at 1-3. Then all of a sudden we turn around and go 3-1, 8-8, lose Kirk, who was having. I mean, I'll go out and say this, and I know some people are going to laugh at this because we've been critical of Kirk, and they say, "Oh, you can't be critical and praise at the same time." Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But with this next stretch of games that we have on the schedule, had Kirk not gotten hurt, I mean, he would have been in the MVP conversation later on this year. I fully believe he would have been, had he kept playing at the level he was playing.
Right.
But now it's, like I said, we'll never know, because, the future is unclear on that side of things. Not something I want to get into right now is the future of Kirk Cousins, because we will have plenty of time for that once the season is over, whenever that Stephen, we are actually -3.5 now. Oh, it's come up a little bit. So the odds makers must be listening to the live show here and adjusting their the spread as we are talking up Mr. Hall's. But yeah, I mean, at this point in time, the season's going to be what it's going to be. I'm just interested to see what we got in Jaren Hall, and what he can do. If we've got something there, great. If we don't, we're going to know, and then we'll know what we're going to need to do for next year. So, but screens and slants, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that intermediate stuff. Like I said, TJ Hawkinson, I think, is going to get a steady diet of stuff in that intermediate. And once Hall can show that he can get that stuff out and beat the blitzes and things like that, they're going to start sneaking up on Hawkinson. That's when you're going to be able to hit him up over the top with Addison or Osborne or whoever, if Naylor plays, whoever. And he's got the gun to do it. So
they need to start giving Akers more carries, are going with Akers 3/4 of the time throughout the game and letting Madison get some carries here and there. The more I see Akers, the more I ask why we're not seeing more of him, to be honest. So,
yeah. And I mean, I don't care which one of them's back there. Go with a hot hand, whether it's Madison, whether it's Akers. I don't care. But the running game needs to be better than it is. So, anything else you want to hit on the preview section before we go and start doing our picks and predictions?
Nope. I'm ready to pop into the next segment here.
All right. So with that, we will move over to the regionally well-known and semi-famous and all that kind of good stuff predictions segment of the show, where we take a look at not only the Minnesota Vikings game, but we also look at our rivals in the NFC North to see who they're playing and what they're doing this week. So first and foremost, the Detroit Lions are on their bye this week. So we don't have that to worry about one way or the other. The first game, though, the Los Angeles Rams travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Green Bay Packers. It's a noon game.
I'm going to go with the Rams here. The Packers look completely ass. They look completely like garbage. The Rams are the better team.
Yeah. And you've got on their offensive side, you look at what Jordan Addison did to Jair Alexander last week. Now this week he's going to have to deal with both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. So, yeah, Stafford, he's played dozens of games against Green Bay. He knows them. I'm going with the Rams, too. I know the Rams typically don't play well in the colder weather and outside kind of stuff, but Green Bay, I don't have any faith in them right now.
No.
Which makes me happy.
Yeah.
But I just hope that Jordan Love plays well enough that Green Bay doesn't decide they need to draft a quarterback next year.
We'll see.
Yeah, but that's just me. So we both got the Rams there. Moving on to the next game, we have the Chicago Bears traveling down to New Orleans to take on the Saints. Have not heard if Justin Fields is playing this week yet or not.
I'm going to go with the Saints. Both teams are pretty bleh. The Saints have the 4-4 record, so I'll go with the Saints here.
Yeah, I'm going to too. I can't in good conscience pick Chicago to beat anybody. We talked about a bunch of the stuff earlier. Now, Montez Sweat coming in is going to, potentially give them a boost in the pass rush department. Could make things a little more difficult for Derek Carr. But, Chicago's an absolute mess, and they're not getting any better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just
see them winning this game.
Saints for me, too. Then, of course, the main event, Sunday noon, the Vikings at the Falcons. We talked about the preview, a lot of it before, but what do you think? What do you want to see, and what do you got?
I think we're going to be just fine. I think we're going to win this game. I think we're going to win by 2 scores. I have confidence saying that. I don't. Yeah, nice. I think this is a great game for Hall to step into and potentially have some success. And then this defense is just going to continue to do what it's been doing, and that's get better every week. And I see us coming out on the other end with a W in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to pick us as well. I think the defense is going to step up, because they know the situation. Everybody's going to know the situation. I expect the team to be on both sides of the ball, be up, ready to play. Would not surprise me one bit to see the defense score some points this week. And I think Hunter, can get to Heineke. We got to keep him in the pocket because he can move around. He can make plays with his feet as well.
Yep.
But he is, he's that gunslinger type, going to make dangerous throws, things like that. So I think we can turn him over. He
plays every play like this is the last play. Definitely.
Yeah,
I think he does.
We turned him over 3 times when we played him last year. I think we can get 1 or 2 out of him again this week. I think probably, we should be able to get him on the ground at times. I think Hunter has at least 1 more sack. Look for Wanham to have a decent day as well. And
Harrison Phillips
see that back.
Had his best game last week, I think.
Harrison Phillips has had 2 really good games in a row, and hopefully he can continue that this week as well. So, yeah, I'm taking the Vikings. I'm not going to call it a 2-score game. I think it's going to be a 1-score, probably, 3 to 4 points. I would say, a 17-13 or something like that, kind of a score probably. But I'm taking the Vikings to win this one too. So. But with that, that's 21-17. Yeah, I could be convinced into that one there too, Robert.
I'm thinking 21-10. I don't see this Atlanta offense being that imposing to me. So
yeah, all I know, Bijan Robinson has that ability to break one if we happen to miss a tackle or something, someplace he can take one to the house in a real quick hurry. That's and Jaren Hall may turn the ball over too. We don't, and if something happens there, it sets him up in, in position.
Yeah.
Yep. Jared Joseph for the last second winner. I hope so, because Greg Joseph has not played well the last 2 weeks, and he's making me throw stuff at my TV when I'm watching the games again. Brunsey in a onesie.
Right. Funny. I had to get one, man.
But with that, that's all we've got for this week. Lance has got some plans here tonight, so we're going to wrap her just a little bit early to get him on his merry way. But 24-10, Anthony says.
Yeah,
I want to thank all you guys. I could go with that. I could go with that too. I'm be more than happy if that happens. I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out as you head on for your Friday evening. If you've not done so, hit the subscribe button as well. Beyond that, make sure you check out all of our buddies out there also doing Vikings content creation, Vikings Report with Drew and Ted, Purple and Gold for Days, Minnesota Sports Talk, countless others out there that we interact with. Like I always say, when one of us succeeds, we all succeed. Vikings First and Score also can't forget Dave and Tyler and Darren Campbell over there as well. But thank you guys for all your support, for not just us, but for everybody. We love doing this. We love interacting with you guys. And also another shout out to the Filipino fan club across the pond. Nympha, Nonoy, BB Jen, all you guys over there. Thank you for following and watching too. I really appreciate it. But
Pearl's got a good point.
21-10 Vikings, the puppy lap. We are undefeated when I hold the puppy during the game. Well, you better keep holding the puppy there, Doc.
Right, just hold that puppy.
Yep. But with that, why don't you take us home, Lance?
Rhino, you wrapped it up pretty well again tonight. Great group of people here tonight. Some names I haven't seen, or some names I haven't seen in a while. I love having you guys all here. Honestly, I look for us to go into Atlanta, and I think we're all going to have smiles on our faces once the clock hits 0 on Sunday afternoon. With that being said, I hope Jaren Hall goes out and balls. I hope that defense continues to do what it does. Aubrey and Millie, if you're out there watching, Dad loves and misses you. Skol.
Have a good weekend, everybody.